We're just about to go live on Facebook, so welcome to episode 11 of the Neutral Zone. We'll have to do another reintroduction momentarily as soon as Facebook Live gets started here. It's taking a little longer here than usual. Hang on a sec. It's just chugging through here.
Must be the Canadian connection.
Yeah, probably. All right, here we go.
Are you gonna well, I'll let you say whatever you want to say.
Public. All right. Don't worry, I'm not going to forget the music, my friend. This is going to be a little different. It's a little casual. It's a little ad hoc, but it's going to work out great. As those of you who are just watching this on YouTube, we are going live on Facebook, Season 1, Episode 11 of the Neutral Zone. So I'm just going to quickly take a little peek here, see if we're on Facebook right now. There's a lot of people waiting here. A lot of people are waiting. All right, we're live on Facebook right now. We're going to get started here. For those of you of our intro music, here we go. Welcome to the Neutral Zone. You are about to embark on the greatest hour of your weekend here, live with Nav and Stomps. This is what I like to say, or what Stomps likes to say, is going to be a tremendous show. Lots to talk about in the world of ball hockey, but we're going to get right into it. Lots of big things happened today in Woodridge for the closing day of the Woodridge tournament. Stomps was there. Stomps, you got any quick words about it before we kind of get into the nitty gritty?
The weather cooperated, let's put it that way. I missed the first game, but I'll talk a little bit about it. But apparently there was a lot of guys going down early on in that first game. Carlo in particular, I heard, took a couple of spills, but yeah, because as I was heading out the door, it was drizzling tiny bit, but it's enough on that floor to make it a little bit tricky. But it really got better as the day went on, and there was very little wind, so it was a good day for the finals.
Good. And listen, before we get started, lots of controversy in today's final game. So I think it's important to start off to say that we are a bipartisan show. Okay, we might share opinions on certain players, we might share opinions on certain teams, but we've had on this show in previous episodes, we've welcomed almost every single type of player, every single type of GM, and we'll continue to do so because we're all about giving everybody an equal voice. So we'll start off, because we're going to be talking about some very sensitive things in this show today. We'll start off today with congratulating and appreciating the hard effort of both Frank and Eric in putting together this first ever Woodridge tournament. I think it's a great hockey monster. I think they did a nice job with a lot of different components of the game. I'm sure they received a ton of criticism today. We'll get into some of that. And again, we are bipartisan. We're just here to report the news. We're not going to take sides. We're going to share what we know. But the viewers out there are itching. They're excited. I'm getting my phone just blowing up here, Stomp. So we're going to have to really address some big things. And I may end up asking you some tough questions today as well, which is kind of different than our normal course of our Neutral Zone. You good with that?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so how we're going to conduct today, we're going to talk first about the tournament. I'd like you to sort of kick it off, give the high level, and all I need is 5 minutes talking about something, and then I may jump in here and there and ask you a question or two. But why don't you take it away? You talked already about the weather and stuff like that. Why don't you get into the tournament, the outcomes, how it ended, and we'll dig into it, man.
Well, like I said, I missed the first game. Got there, found out that Death beat the Immortal Kings. Immortal Kings being Eric's team. Final of 4-1. Now, some of these stats I'm going to give you are unofficial because I didn't get official stats. I was trying to keep track of some of the stuff, but
Was Timmy there?
Timmy was there.
Okay.
By the way, and he's on the Immortal Kings, held off the score sheet, or at least didn't score.
Eddie Urban?
Which is a rarity. That I don't know.
Okay.
I do not know. It was a 4-1 game. I think Jeremy Fredette had a hat trick. So good job by Death. They had eliminated the Immortal Kings with their second loss. By the way, I wanted to say kudos also to the roughing contingent of Sammy, Ronnie Sr., and Sammy J., who shared ref duties. Although Ronnie at one point, well, more than one point, had a nice banter going on with one of the Dolphins' moms. Quite frankly, he was probably flirting, I think, and not paying attention to the game. So, no, but great job by all the officials. So that was a good job. Second game, we had the Wrecking Balls and the Dolphins. And I got there early in that game. And it was a good battle. I mean, really, really good hockey, back and forth. Ultimately was a 3-3 tie, went to overtime. Now, see, I didn't realize
they have a few. They have a few. Did some of that spill over into this game? There was a big fight between the two. Like, not fight. They didn't lose their deposit or anything, but there was a big rivalry that was beginning to emerge 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, there was a little bit of that, but time passes. This is a playoff game. I didn't see any extracurriculars. But the game went into overtime. Now, I was surprised to see I thought it was going to go right to a shootout. But they actually played overtime 3-on-3. And Anthony Martino got the game winner. He scored all 4 goals for the Wrecking Balls. It was a slightly controversial goal, only because it was one of those things where ball's out of play, it's frozen, dead ball situation. Line change happened. They called ball in, got it to Anthony, and he blasted it. Dolphins were claiming too many men on the ice. I didn't see it. It's frozen, dead ball situation. Whoa, what was that?
That's just the producers. They were a little off here.
Yeah, apparently. So there you go. Wrecking Balls get the victory, and Scott Leclaire. I'm going to say Scott Leclaire and Ryan Matera get the awards today for wearing the least clothing, playing in 40-degree weather. It may as well have been 80 degrees in July at Woodridge. They had short sleeve shirts, shorts on. So anyway, and Scott played defense, which I thought was interesting. I've always known him to be a forward, but he was playing back there. They must have needed somebody back there, so kudos to him. So they moved on 4-3, Dolphins eliminated.
Okay.
That game 3 was the
who scored the winning goal? Martino?
Yeah, in overtime. He had all 4 of them.
Wow. Solid player. Yes,
absolutely. And then you have AKA the Goblin Shark, or the Goblin Sharks, AKA the Foxhounds, against your team, the 9-inch males. So should I turn it over to you, or do you want me to run?
Well, listen, this is probably good time for me to sort of talk a little bit about the 9-inch males here. I have promised my team. So first and foremost, I want to go on the air here and publicly apologize to them for not being able to be with them today. We were 5-0 going into today, and you'll talk about the scores momentarily. But let me just say one thing. I believe when they say there's no moral victories, and you haven't shared who the winner of the tournament is, I have to tell you that the 9-inch males, in my humble opinion, even though I'm part of that, They are the true moral champions of this tournament. And I'll tell you why I say that. Because we come together as a team. And I'm pretty serious. I'm not joking around here right now, Stomps. I'm welcome to be challenged. I'll be challenged by anybody. We got this team that was put together by a bunch of guys that haven't really played together before. We had Art in net. Let's just start from the back. We had Art Carpenter in net. By far, the best goalie in the tournament. I mean, I love all the other goalies, great guys, but Art was one of the key reasons why we were so successful. So he overperformed. Then you're going to talk a little bit about him coming in and sort of coming in as a relief goalie at the end. We'll talk a little bit about that later on. His attitude, his leadership in the locker room, just what he brought to the team, phenomenal. Art, congratulations on being the best goalie in the tournament. I believe this is the recognition that you received. Then let's start from the back end. Eddie Armstrong, not very accustomed to playing in Woodridge, came in, scored some big goals in the game, especially early on in the round robin. Big shot, steady, played his position, didn't falter, played on a line with Ryan Matera, who scored a big power play goal against you guys off a tip from a shot from the point, and that turned out to be, I think, the tying goal, and we later on went on to win that game. Ryan Matera played a steady game, rock solid. Peter, but how do you pronounce his last name? Peter Butera?
Oh no, I don't. No, I'm not even gonna
Okay.
attempt it.
Peter,
It's not that though.
long-time Woodridge veteran, organizer. He's on the executive committee. He played with me on defense. A very, very unorthodox way of playing hockey. Always covers his man, very rarely makes mistakes, and gets the ball out, makes the safety choices. Proud of his tournament. Ryan, first star in the first game, came in, scored some big goals for us, had a hat trick in one of the game. Just very pleased. He was an emotional leader for us in between the games. Then I want to talk a little bit about Ganutek, versatile player, two-way player, can play both ends, overperformed, ready to play defense, ready to play offense. Scored another big goal today. I know I'm going on, but I promised you I would be talking about my team. Really pleased with Brian Ganutek as a leader on this team. Then we'll talk about Josh. I'm going to declare Josh here on public as the Selke winner of the entire tournament. I don't know if we gave that award out to anyone. Best defensive forward in the entire tournament. Lots more coming from him. Great player, great teammate, willing to do whatever it takes. And then Bruner. I know probably some questions about his ability to play a two-way game. I don't have that question. Played phenomenal throughout the entire tournament. Scored some big timely goals for us. Was a leader. Was committed. Covered Chelly in one of the games in the round robin. Did a terrific job. Just a great leader on and off the ice. So I'm just pleased with this team. I don't think anyone would have picked us to go 5-0, but I'm just telling you right now, if this team comes back and plays again, we will be a force to be reckoned with. Now, in terms of playing against the game that we played against Death and lost, hey, listen, all respect given to Death. Great team, great set of veterans, amazing goalie back there, good defense, well-managed team. You know what? It happens. It happens. But we were 5-0 going into that. So just want to throw a special shout out to the 9-inch males. I will stop, but I just want my boys to know how amazing and special of a team they are. So congrats to the 9-inch males for winning the Moral Championship and having a 5-0 round robin and then going up, not necessarily getting the result, but congrats to you guys. All right, it's all you, man.
Well, that brought a tear to my eye. So 9-inch males and the Goblin Sharks. Goblin Sharks taking it 5-2. I thought it was a well-played game by both sides. Adam Bruno played really well in goal. I think just looking at it from a shot perspective, I thought it was fairly equal shots on goal both sides. But Mike Scalzetti had a hat trick, I believe, in that game. So kudos to him. So they of course moved on, but that was only the 9-inch male's first loss. So you were still alive, your team. So now we go to Death against the Wrecking Balls in a elimination game. And big kudos to Sabatini. He really had a great day today. he was very vocal out there, I thought. He scored, I don't know, an unofficial count, maybe 4 goals, 5 maybe, in all the games that they played. So he really did a good job. But, Death, the key for Death was their defense, in my opinion, and of course goaltending. But defensively, I mean, you had Chelly playing back there with Frank, and then Eddie Swiatek with
Gleason.
Gleese, and then Eddie got hurt, so he hurt his side, and actually that's coming off hurting his wrist last week at Palatine. So he was banged up, and that was going to turn out to be a big factor a little bit later on. But so they beat the Wrecking Balls 3-1 to move on to play 9-inch males in the semifinal to meet the Goblin Sharks in the finals. So, in Death, this was their back-to-back games, their third of the morning, obviously a little tired. Kind of worked to their advantage. The game was a little slower, I thought. But they were moving the ball around really well. And not too surprising given the guys they have on that team. All of them, really. And they really did a nice job between Gerard and John Trapani and Sabatini and Patty of controlling the ball in the offensive zone, playing behind the other team's net, forechecking, those kind of things. So they did a real nice job. Sabs, I think, another goal, at least one goal in that game. Gleason scored from his own goal line on a blast that eluded Art. And ultimately, the final score of that game was 4-2 Death. So
That's a close one. That's a close one. How do you feel about that result? Like, what do you think happened to the 9-inch males?
Well, like I said, I mean, I think they benefit a little bit from more of a, whoa, wow, here we go, special guest Frank. Wait a minute now. Now it's going to get interesting. The pace favored Death, I feel. Now it's going to get interesting. All right, I don't want to hear myself again.
Well, turn that volume down, Frank. Welcome to the neutral zone, Frank. You'll probably, I don't know if you're going to regret wanting to be on the show today, but
I'm here for it.
We're always happy.
I'm happy because he could say stuff that I probably wouldn't.
We're talking about right now where we're at is we're talking about Death's 4-2 victory against the 9-inch males. We're talking about what was the breakdown there.
1 second. So what'd you guys cover so far? I mean, we played so many games today. Our team played 4 games today. We kind of had a long run at it. But that was a good game. I mean, Billy really kept us in it. They had some good chances. Bruner was all over the place. And they had Sam and Scott Leclerc on the back end. Right? I'm not on the wrong game.
Man, you're like mixing teams up, Frank.
Oh, I'm all over the place.
We've already moved to the semifinals.
We're in the game against my team, Bruner's team.
I thought you guys did a great job on Bruner. You guys were in his face the whole game.
Well, that was the thing. I mean, like he's the kind of guy. I mean, he can just wreck a game, right? So he can just take it over. So that was one of our strategies. We did the same thing with the Wrecking Balls with Martino. It was just like, just don't let those guys control the game. And so we just made sure he earned everything he had. And he still had plenty of chances, but Billy he played great.
Question: Joe Gleason scored a goal in that semifinal game from his own goal line on a long slap shot.
Yeah, I honestly didn't see it. So I know the rule is like once you call ball in, if you go over the line, then it's good. I don't know where the shot was from. So I
heard it 5 seconds.
I didn't see
In the rules, it says 5 seconds.
5 seconds?
5 seconds?
Yeah. There was, like some guys were were questioning it, but there really wasn't a lot of pushback. And like I said, I didn't see it, so I just assumed there wasn't a lot of pushback. The ref said it was good, so I just assumed it was as it should be.
I'm sure Art would like to get that one back anyways. I mean, regardless of how much time he took, I'm sure Art would like to get that back. So, yeah.
They needed you, Nav. I think that was the difference.
Oh, thank you for the compliment. I don't know.
I'm throwing you under the bus.
They were 5-0 with Nav and 0-2 without him.
Yeah, so I don't know. I mean, do the math. A team is made up of every player.
Mm-hmm.
It's not one guy.
Well, but I think with when you have a tournament like this where the rosters are very small comparatively, it's you miss one guy. I mean, that could be huge. And in this case, it was. I think.
I know, like so in our game, Peter was on the back end, but in the first game they played, they had Peter playing more offense, getting in front of the net, trying to create some traffic. And I thought that worked. I think he had a goal, and he
did.
Caused a lot of trouble.
He did.
I want to take credit for that decision.
So,
Cool. All right. Keep
here
going.
we go to the. Well, let's just say the finals. You had Death and the Goblin Sharks. So basically, Raiders, Foxhounds, and Nav. I mean, we weren't surprised that. I mean, let me go back to the beginning of this tournament. Before a game even started, I said on this show, I was impressed with all of the rosters. I mean, I thought it was fairly evenly spread out, I thought.
Yeah, I think so.
And I think it ultimately turned out that way. But it's not surprising that these two teams ended up in the finals, these teams that are heavily experienced in tournament play, and it comes to show up at the end. So
I appreciate it. Guys, I appreciate you letting me jump on here, crashing your show. I didn't say that when I first got on.
I'm glad because, that ending is something else that's going to be remembered, maybe for the wrong reasons, unfortunately. So let me set the stage. You can jump in, Frank, because you were in the middle of it.
Yeah, go ahead. You start it up, and then I'll jump in at some point.
And then I'll give you my thoughts. So I think there was a little of angst before that game because the way I heard it, we're invoking the 2-loss rule. But, I mean, that was the rule of the tournament, right? It's double elimination once you get to the playoffs. So your team, Death, was in a position where you had to win back-to-back against the Goblin Sharks. You would have had to go 4 games in a row.
Right.
I mean, the deck was stacked, just not on purpose, but just that's the way the chips fell.
Yeah, so when I set the tournament up, I was looking at a way I wanted to squeeze as many games in as possible. I wanted to make the pool play meaningful. So those 4 teams, like the 9-inch males were one of them. The teams that did well in pool play had that benefit of needing to be eliminated or needing to lose 2 games before they got eliminated. So I really liked the setup. The problem was I knew weeks ago when I set it up that when you get to that championship game, that was going to be an issue. It was going to be a huge advantage for the team from the top bracket against the team from the losers bracket, almost to the point where it's unfair. So I really liked the whole setup, but I was a little worried going into it, to be honest with you. It was like the championship game, which should be the pinnacle of the whole thing, I knew could be a problem. And so like when our team got there, the other team was just on their second game. They had a nice rest. Meanwhile, it was our 4th game, and it was the 3rd one in a row. And we were gassed. And so they invoked the rule to play 2, but that was just the rule that was in place. It wasn't like they really had nothing to do with it. I mean, that was just the rule. But we were just we were already burnt out and tired going into that one, to be honest with you. So, but that's why like every game mattered. You had to play right from the very first game of the tournament. Every game mattered. And
Congrats to you guys for getting to the final. That's a big undertaking to win 3 games today. You won 3 games today, right?
Yeah. So I mean, like, and honestly, going into it today, like that was my goal was to get to the finals. and then let's see what happens. And so we did that, but we didn't get any easy games. Like I was kind of hoping, hey, maybe we get an easy game in there. We can kind of take our foot off the gas, but we had to press for the whole day, every game from start to finish. And so we got to that last game and we were just gassed, and they jumped on us, and it was over, right away.
So let me describe kind of what happened, and then you jump in. So the game starts. Mike Scalzetti scores very early in. It's 1-0. Sheets scores shortly after that, 2-0. A few minutes later, Kelly scored. It's 3-0. And then here comes Mike Scalzetti. He makes a power move to the front of the net, scores, takes what I think was a little bit of a hip check from Chelly, goes toppling, into the corner. 4-0. There's some words. Then you guys called timeout, and then what happened?
So at that point, I mean, like I said, we were burnt out going into that game, and they were jumping on all over us. And what happened, like right before that fourth goal, so Jeremy Fredette had the ball in the offensive zone, and he's making a move, and he just got taken down pretty hard. And I know he was upset.
By who?
I don't remember who, but there was no call. There was no penalty called, which is fine. And I'm not making an excuse. There was no excuse, but then those guys jumped in, came in, they scored, and our guys were tired, frustrated, upset, and I probably should have just said, "Hey guys, let's take a timeout. Let's take a few minutes, just cool off, and then get back to the game." But there was the emotions were high, and some of the guys were like, "Well, that's it. This is what's the point of this?" And so it was kind of a lot of things coming to a head. But we finished the game. We were a little short after that, but we finished the game. We played the best we could. But kudos to the Sharks. They played a good game. I still have my personal attorney checking out the results. I'm not sure. I've heard some things about some fraud and some phony business. So I'm not declaring them the winner just yet. I'm still holding out hope.
So you haven't conceded yet?
No, I'm not. No, I haven't made a concession speech yet. I got this. We'll see what comes in the days ahead.
All right. As the hated member of the media, I mean, I got to go to the elephant in the room, and that's Sir William Jacques walking off.
Yeah, I'm gonna stick up with my guy here. I wouldn't have done that, but he was like I said, we had a long day. He was definitely upset. The emotions got the better of him. And like in that moment, I think he just kind of lost a little bit. And I think he just realized, like, I just got to remove myself from this situation because we don't want to end up with fights or nonsense or anything like that. And so, and at that point, like for all intents and purposes, they had won the game. So let's just he removed himself from the situation. We finished the game, and
with Art in net.
Art jumped in for us, yeah.
So,
and I thought we were so tired in front of him. I thought he was going to leave on us. He was facing a lot of shots, but
so you needed the services of the 9-inch males. That's what you're saying.
We did.
Okay.
If you were in town, we could have used you too.
Yeah. I mean, we don't. He's an emotional guy. He's partially wise and could sometimes work to his detriment.
I mean, we don't win a championship game if he's not playing great.
Of course, but I mean, it's not a good look to walk off in the middle of that game. I don't think. I wouldn't have done it, but I'm on the sidelines, right? And I think I'm going to be controversial here. So I know some. We've talked about. I mean, this is going back a year or two. I think we get frustrated when the Foxhounds run it up in some games and yuck it up and celebrate when games get out of hand and continue to celebrate. But, to their to their defense, they're really good hockey players. They're really competitive. They want to play a competitive game. They want, and they're there to play, right? You can't expect them to pull back just because a game is getting out of hand. I mean, I guess there's a way to do it. So I don't know. I feel bad for both sides, kind of. I was looking forward to more of a game, and it kind of turned into a shit show, unfortunately, I think. And Eric came into his credit, and you guys kept playing with short. I mean, you lost at least Twitek was hurt,
Yeah, he was hurt.
you know, and then you had two other key guys. What was that?
It was his birthday. He couldn't even finish it on his birthday. We were trying to get the championship trophy for him for his birthday present. But as far as the Foxhounds like running it up, like that thing never bothered me because it just means I need to play better. I mean, that's the way I look at it.
That's how I say. If you want to shut them up, you do it.
I mean, we're on the floor together. If we want to stop them, we can stop them. So.
But at the end of the day, I mean, it was a great tournament. I thought. I was surprised at the end. I didn't realize there were hoodies for the winning team, and there was medals, and you know that there was the nice banner that was out there, and the cup was out there. So you guys did great. I mean, we told Eric. Eric said he wants to do another one in the spring, hopefully.
Yeah, and this, you know, like we struggled a little bit with the weather. I mean, it delayed it several weeks. You know, we should have been done the first week of November. So this is, you know,
right.
Yeah.
Weeks later. But
Hey,
yeah, I mean, I think everything went well.
Hey, Stumps, can I jump in here for a sec?
No.
So I will anyways. So like, first of all, yeah, so I heard about the Billy Jacques walking off. Sounds like two other players did as well, and Chelly and Jeremy. What was kind of the thinking? Was it the same thinking that they had as well? They didn't want to make it out.
No, I think we kind of resigned ourselves to the fact that pretty much the game was over, and there was a long delay. So there was probably a 10 or 15-minute delay, and I think people were up against the clock with things they had to do with home, and they were like, you know, like, let's just get out of here.
Sure. Okay, so Frank, I don't know if you were able to tune in at the beginning of the show. For those out there, you're watching episode 11 of the Neutral Zone in season 1. We're just doing a recap on the Woodridge tournament. You know, we talked a lot about congratulating both you and Eric up front for a tournament well done. Listen, how do you respond to the critics out there that come after you for some of the lack of parity? Because on this same show up front, we were making predictions, and I think it was pretty unanimous that the Goblin Sharks were going to win this from the start. How do you respond to those critics, and would you do anything differently going forward?
Yeah, I mean, like everyone's got a different point of view. For me, even today, I don't worry about it. Like I don't really care who's on my team. You know, I think that I've got as good a chance as anyone to win. To me, if we play a fresh game, you know, our team against the Goblin Sharks, I like our chances. You know, it was, but they did better in the pool play. And so they had that benefit of playing less games. So they're playing their second game of the day with rest. We're playing our fourth game and third in the row. So I think, you know, like, is that a roster issue or is that the tournament setup issue? And so, and I definitely understand. I mean, like, if you look at the talent, there's no doubt that they had, you know, more of the top end talent. But, you know, if I look, you know, players 1 through 8, you know, I can make a case for a number of other teams. You know, your team, for example, there were no gaps or weak players. You know, same thing with ours. So would I do something different? Yeah, I mean, I'm sure if I did it 5 different times, I would do it 5 different ways. And it's all fair criticism. But I think at the end of the day, we got to play a lot of hockey. It was a lot of fun. I mean, that was the point of it.
Sure. I think it was a great tournament. I enjoyed it when I was there. I look forward to the one in the spring. I'm glad you guys are really going to do it again. The only problem with the spring, sometimes you run into rain issues. So we'll have to continue to be flexible there.
But then we're not up against the snow. I mean, like if it delays for 5 or 6 weeks.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, like, you know, I'm sure Eric's the same way, but if anyone has any feedback, criticism, negatives, complaints, whatever, you know, we're going to take all that in and hopefully it'll be better the next time. This is the first time we did this, right? And so, you know, I knew going into it we were going to screw up. So, like, if people say, well, this was bad or that was bad, I agree with you. I mean, I didn't intend it to be perfect, you know, but if we do it in spring, it'll probably be a little bit better. If we do another one next fall, it'll probably be a bit better still.
Go ahead, Storms.
Couldn't have said it better. I mean, I thought it was really good. And I disagree with you, Nav, when you say lack of parity or whatever. I thought it was very, there was parity.
Real quick, I just want to interrupt you there. I did not say that. I said, how do you respond to the criticism? I did not say that I believe in the lack of parity.
Let's rewind the tape.
I didn't put, I asked that question because there has been criticism. And if you go back to the beginning of the show, I was very pleased with my team. I wouldn't have had it any other way. So I was very pleased. So just for the record. Now go ahead, Stomps. You can disagree with.
No, I mean, I thought, again, it was really good tournament.
Yeah.
Well put on. The weather, we got lucky today.
Yeah, how was the weather in Chicago today? How was the weather, guys?
The first game, there was a little bit of moisture this morning, so there's a drizzle just before the first game. So the first game we played, it was slick out there. We were sliding around. I mean, it was like an ice rink. The second game, pretty much the same way. But by the third game, the court dried up, and then it was fine after that. And actually, towards the end, the sun even peeked through a little bit. So it was probably 40, low 40s. It was no wind. So other than the moisture on the rink for the first couple of games, it was really good.
Right. I will say another thing, just going back to Frank's, and I've spoken about these kind of things with Frank in the past. When you actually go out on a limb and arrange and organize and put effort towards creating a tournament like this, it's so easy to get criticized. The thing that you got to think about is, what are those people that are criticizing doing for the betterment of the game? I mean, I'm not saying everyone is not advocating for themselves or trying to make it better, but you're never going to make everybody happy. So just to be fair and balanced here, if people want to come on and do a neutral zone, or people want to arrange a tournament, be my guest. You know what I mean? Like, just go out there and put the effort in. I mean, kudos to you and Eric, man. Frank, I'm sure you have something to say about that.
Yeah, no, that I kind of feel the same way. But honestly, like, bring it on. I mean, like, give me the criticism, because that's the only way we get better. I mean, the whole point of all of this is to make more opportunities, make this better and more enjoyable for everybody. And so, like, if you think I did something wrong and you're at home stewing about it, well, that doesn't help anybody. If you call me and give me a hard time and give me some criticism, I'm not saying I'm going to change it, but I will listen. I mean, and I'll listen, and I'll listen through the bad language and the hate, and get to the message of it. But I'll listen, and we'll make changes. You know, I mean, that's the whole point of it.
Hey, Frank, the only criticism I have of you today is your hair.
I know. I didn't know I was going to be on TV.
I didn't sense that there was much of any criticism, but Frank, you mentioned how when you were working out the schedule, you were concerned of how it was going to end up. Well, like, is there anything you could do differently so that I don't know.
Again, like, there's a finite amount of times. So, like, we could have just done a kind of a standard thing where it's just a single elimination. And then, you know, that's kind of fair for everybody. But this way actually squeezed in a few more games. And so, which I liked. I mean, at the end of the day, we just want to play. So that was part of the thinking. And then by doing it this way, it puts more pressure to win in the first game. So I think, like, anyone who would looked at the entire format of the tournament, they would have said, man, right from game one, every game counts. So, like, every game would have meant more. So that was kind of my thinking. You could also do like a double elimination for everybody, but then it just gets so long. There's so many games, you just run out of time.
No, so I think rewarding the team that does well in the round robin plays, I like that.
But as it turned, and I knew it, like I said, I knew it going into it, it was almost too much of a reward. So the team happened to be the Goblin Sharks, but whatever team was coming from the winner's bracket, I knew was going to be on their second game of the day, and the other team coming from the other bracket was going to be 3 games in a row or 2 or 3 games in a row, third, fourth game of the day. And they would have to beat them twice. And so it does some work. We'll address it in the future. But yeah, I was concerned about that going forward. But that didn't, I mean, like, at the end of the day, you want to win, you got to win. So.
I think you guys matched up. You beat the Goblin Sharks in the round robin. I remember that. You did beat them. I think it was in shootouts, right? Was it shootouts?
No, that game
No.
we beat them, I think, by a goal or 2 in regulation.
Yeah. So
And the same thing, it was just the way the schedule had fallen. Their third game of the day, it was our second. So I mean, like, again, that I think that might have played into it.
Well, congratulations again on putting together a good tournament, Frank and Eric. Stomps, any other comments before we close out on the Woodridge tournament? Are you good?
Everything.
So I'm getting some feedback and some technical difficulty. Frank, are you picking up that?
I was good on mine. Maybe it's the hair.
I think the internet connection might be a little unstable here up north.